Think about the last time someone got promoted at work. Maybe it was you. The logic feels airtight. You're good at the job, so they move you up. You get better, so they move you up again. That's just how careers work. But here's the thing almost nobody tells you. The better you are at the job you have right now, the worse you're likely to be at the job they're about to give you. Not because you got lazy, because of something baked into how promotions work. Something so strange you'll never see your own career ladder the same way again. Let's start with salespeople, because they give us the cleanest look at this problem anyone has ever found. In 2019, 3 economists, Alan Benson, Danielle Lee, and Kelly Shue, published a study in the Quarterly Journal of Economics. They got their hands on performance data for roughly 40,000 sales workers across 131 different companies. Real people, real numbers, real careers. And they asked a simple question. When one of these salespeople gets promoted to manager, what happens next? The first thing they found was completely unsurprising. The best salespeople got promoted. The more you sold, the more likely you were to be handed a team. Makes sense. That's how it's supposed to work. You reward the top performer. But then they looked at what happened to the teams these star sellers were now running, and this is where it falls apart. The better someone had been at selling, the worse their team performed once they were in charge. Not a little worse. Measurably, consistently worse. The relationship ran in reverse. The strongest individual sellers made some of the weakest managers. The single number the company used to decide who got promoted, sales performance, was the exact number that predicted they'd struggle at the new job. The thing that got you the promotion was quietly the thing that would sink you in it. And it wasn't a fluke of one weird company. This showed up across 131 of them. Different industries, different products, different cultures, the same strange pattern over and over. Reward the best seller with a team, and watch the team do worse than it did under someone more ordinary. There's a bitter irony buried in it too. Somewhere in that data were the people who would have made brilliant managers. The patient ones. The ones good at building others up. But they were quieter on the sales board. So they got passed over, while the loudest closer got the corner office and slowly ran the team into the ground. And here's the question that should be nagging at you. If the companies could see this in their own numbers, and they could, why did they keep doing it? Why keep handing teams to the people most likely to sink them? Because the promotion isn't only a reward, it's a message to everyone still on the floor. Sell like a monster and you too could get the title, the office, the pay bump. Take that carrot away. Promote the quiet, patient types instead. And your best sellers stop selling or walk out the door to a company that will dangle it. So the firm makes a cold trade. It accepts a worse manager in exchange for keeping 1,000 other salespeople hungry. The bad promotion isn't a mistake. It's the price of the motivation, which means the whole thing isn't broken by accident. It's working exactly as designed, just not for the person getting promoted. The person who was best at the job was, on average, the worst choice for the next one. So why does this happen? Why doesn't being great at one thing make you great at the thing right above it? Because we've quietly told ourselves a lie about how skill works. We imagine it like a ladder. You get good at the bottom rung, then you're ready for the next rung, then the next. As if being excellent at one job is a stepping stone that lifts you toward the one above it. As if skill climbs. It doesn't. Skill is horizontal, not vertical. Being brilliant at one specific thing tells you almost nothing about a completely different thing, even when that different thing happens to sit one line higher on an org chart. Look at what actually made that star salesperson great. Drive, competitiveness, the hunger to close their own deals, the ability to walk into a room and bend it around a single conversation. Those are individual weapons. They're about you and what you can personally do. Now look at what a manager actually needs. Patience. The willingness to sit back and let someone else take the win. Coaching a struggling rep instead of just outselling them yourself. Sharing credit, playing the long game with a team instead of the short game with a customer. Some of these aren't just different from what made you a great seller, they're the opposite of it. You see it everywhere once you know the shape of it. The best coder on the team gets made head of engineering and spends their days in meetings, no longer coding, suddenly bad at a job made entirely of the things they used to avoid. The surgeon with the steadiest hands gets pushed toward running the department. The teacher everyone loved gets pulled out of the classroom to become a principal. In every case, we took someone excellent at a craft and rewarded them by taking the craft away. The org chart drew a straight line between those two jobs and told you one leads naturally to the other. The org chart lied. There's a name for what we've been describing, and the story of where it came from is almost too good. In 1969, a man named Lawrence Peter, along with a writer named Raymond Hull, published a book called The Peter Principle. Its central idea was one sharp, funny sentence. In a hierarchy, every employee tends to rise to their level of incompetence. Sit with that for a second because it's a beautiful little machine. You start in a job, you're good at it, so you get promoted. You're good at that one too, so you get promoted again. And this keeps going. But notice, it only keeps going as long as you're good. The promotions stop the moment you land in a job you're bad at. So where does everyone eventually end up? Frozen. Parked. Stuck at exactly the one level they can't handle, with no promotion coming to lift them out because you don't get promoted for being bad. And notice the quiet cruelty of it. The good performers don't stay good and visible. They get promoted away, up and out of the job they were great at. So the only people who pile up and stay put at any given level are the ones who got stuck there. The ones who rose just past their limit. Look around any organization and the layer you're staring at is, by the logic of the machine, disproportionately made of people who couldn't climb further. Not because they're bad people, because that's where the escalator quietly deposits everyone. Here's the part that makes it perfect. Peter and Hull wrote the book as satire. It was meant to be a joke, a wry little poke at office life, but something happened that they never intended. Managers read it and didn't laugh, they nodded. It described their workplace too well. Researchers started testing it, and decades later, that sales study we just talked about handed the joke something it was never supposed to have: hard evidence. The comedy became a theory. Everyone rises until they hit the floor they can't rise above, and then they just stay there. Now here's the part where this stops being about your ego and starts being about your wallet, because we've been talking like the only thing a bad promotion costs you is your pride. It isn't. It can quietly cost you money, even when it comes with a raise. Picture the best salesperson again. On the floor, they were a machine. A big chunk of their income was commission. The more they closed, the more they earned, and they closed a lot. Their pay had almost no ceiling because it was tied directly to the one thing they were extraordinary at. Then they get promoted. Base salary goes up, sounds like a win, but the commission's gone, or slashed to a fraction, because now their job isn't to sell. It's to manage people who sell, and they're not great at that. So the team underperforms, the bonuses tied to team results dry up, and the person who used to be the highest earner in the building is now taking home less than they did before the title. They traded a big variable income they were brilliant at earning for a smaller fixed one attached to a job they're bad at. On paper, it was a promotion. In the bank account, it was a pay cut. And that's before you count the hidden costs, the stress of a role that doesn't fit, the evenings swallowed by admin, the slow erosion of the reputation they spent years building as their team's numbers slide and everyone starts to wonder what happened to the person who used to be so good. The best individual contributor in the company can absolutely end up poorer and unhappier on the other side of the word congratulations. Sometimes the richest move on the board is the one that looks like standing still. But there's one last layer here, and it's the sneakiest of all. Because even if skill transferred perfectly, and even if the money worked out, the numbers alone would still set you up to fall. Think about when people actually get promoted. It's almost never after an average year. It's after a standout one, the record quarter, the huge account you landed, the stretch where everything you touched worked. That's when the promotion comes, right at your peak. Now here's the uncomfortable truth about peaks. A lot of what makes your best year isn't just you. It's timing, a hot market, a lucky account that fell in your lap, a run where the dice kept landing your way. And here's the thing about lucky streaks. They end. Statisticians have a name for it: regression to the mean. After an extreme result, the next result tends to drift back toward your normal. Not because you got worse, because you were never quite as superhuman as that one incredible year made you look. So watch what happens. You get promoted off the top of a spike, the job gets harder. And at the very same moment, your own numbers are quietly drifting back down to your true average, right where they were always going to land. It's the same trick that fools sports fans every year. The rookie has a monster season, wins the award, signs the huge contract, and then next year they're merely good, and everyone calls it a slump. It usually isn't a slump, it's just the average reasserting itself after an unusually high year. The promotion, like the contract, gets handed out at the exact peak right before the fall that was always coming. From the outside, it looks like you suddenly forgot how to do your job the instant you got promoted. You didn't. Two invisible forces just arrived at the same time, the role got tougher, and your luck ran out. You didn't fall from grace. You just returned to earth, with a harder job and a bigger title strapped to your back. So maybe the ladder was never a ladder. It's a graph. A line that rises, and for every single person, quietly turns and falls. Everybody has a peak. The system is just built to push you one step past it and leave you there. So go back to that person at work who got promoted, the obvious winner. You used to see someone climbing. Now you see something else. Someone carried, one promotion at a time, to the exact spot where they'll stop being good. The reward for being great at your job was always a quiet dare to find out where you're not.